Just what was predicted and expected. Meghan Markle came to the Besties retreat, got showered in praise that she craves, and scurried away as fast as possible so as to not have to endure any spare time with the plebs. As per the internet consensus, the Her Best Life retreat did end up being quite the scam. Hi everybody, I'm Babes Kelly. Welcome back to another video. Before we dive in, I'd like to invite you to subscribe if you have not yet already. Click like, hype, and leave me a comment down below. So imagine being suckered into paying over $3,000 for a VIP experience only to have Meghan's events front load the entire thing, be missed by some, and have absolutely no further participation. The only people surprised are surely the people who were there because pretty much everybody else is fully aware of how these types of things go when it comes to Meghan Markle. But her appearance at the inaugural Her Best Life retreat in Sydney has faced significant public scrutiny, primarily due to the brevity of her stay relative to the high ticket costs. Her total appearance from start to finish was 120 minutes, and that really does include coming and going. She didn't stay for dinner, and some people who attended reported missing out on the group photo moment. She really just came for the Q&A session with Gemma O'Neill, which was marketed in a way that was left intentionally vague, but gave some purchasers the impression that they would get to ask Meghan Markle some questions. Instead, it was all just Gemma done like any other standard interview of Meghan Markle's that we have seen countless times, and did not include any special revelations according to reports from people who were there. She reportedly described her experience in the spotlight as very hard and mentioned the countless attacks she's had to endure for a decade. I'm not sure why she's suddenly like skipping over all of 2016 and 2017 and just jumping straight ahead. It's been a decade. No, I'm sorry, Meghan. It's not quite a decade yet, thank goodness. It feels like it's been. But every time she does this, she neglects to understand the hypocrisy that she's communicating here, the total double standard, because she has done a lot of attacking herself, primarily on her in-laws, the royal family, and staff. So I wonder whether she views the attacks that she has done on others as just as hard as the attacks she feels and perceives have been done to her. Probably not. She doesn't really seem like the introspective type. She also reflected on how being a mother has taught her patience and perspective. Oh, what a unique nugget of information there. There's absolutely nothing new here reported so far. What is new is this backlash from some of the people who bought tickets and were there as supporters and fans of Meghan are upset at how their experience panned out. They're wondering why she didn't stay for dinner or more of the weekend activities because it was packaged as Meghan Markle is our guest and our special guest for the weekend, for the retreats, not just the one little Q&A session. Because the way this marketing stuff looks, like, take a look at this. It shows the regular price stuff and then it shows the higher price stuff. So it almost gives people the impression that for the higher price, they would get their own separate fireside style Q&A with Meghan, and that her speaking to the full group of everybody who bought tickets would be a separate thing. But no, it was all mooshed into 2 hours. So there really was no point or benefit to the extra money for the VIP package. And some people are pissed off because they saw Meghan doing selfies and taking pictures out in public with people for the whole time that she was in Australia. But then for this, people paid extra to basically all they got out of it extra was the photo. And sitting a little bit closer in the conference room where the Q&A happened, they didn't get a separate exclusive like chat that the rest of the group didn't get to hear, but the marketing stuff made it look like you would. So That, again, I'm not surprised because we knew this was a scammy situation and they were using a lot of scammy tactics, but to see how it panned out in reality, it's still disappointing for those people, I suppose, I guess. They were suckered for sure. But the marketing misalignment has been called out. Her team insists that it was always a limited engagement. A lot of critics are arguing that the promotional materials suggested that she would be a more central and present part of the girls' weekend retreat. Early reports indicate that she was paid $150,000 for her brief appearance, but I honestly am questioning whether she actually made that much off of this, because remember, they said it was being done as a favor, Marcus Anderson was involved, and even with $3,200 VIP packages sold to everybody, once you less the expenses, then there's very little profit left over for Gemma and Meghan to split, or for Gemma to then pay Meghan some of that profit. Like, not a whole lot. So I would be surprised if she walked out with a full 150 grand for that. But remember, she and Harry initially, way back in 2020, thought that they would be able to rake in $1 million per speaking engagement. So they're barely at 10% of what their original expectation for speaking engagement fees would be. Wow, they came down hard. And then, of course, we have Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's typical PR errors of lack of optics control, meaning that they don't understand and have a hard time foreseeing what the optics of certain choices will be. And that came into play here, too. They left really, really quickly at 7 p.m., and Meghan made an outfit change on the way to this rugby match that started at 7:30. So people who bought the ticket felt a little bit like they got their time cut short in favor of a rugby match, which the optics are not hard to foresee, but Meghan Markle and Prince Harry just simply do not care about the optics. She already got paid. She got to talk about herself. She didn't have to do anything extra. So of course, she doesn't care that she's seen at a rugby match 30 minutes later, and it's going to make everybody who just paid thousands of dollars to see her, thinking they would get a more exclusive experience, see her do that. She doesn't care if it makes them mad. She doesn't. As far as she's concerned, that doesn't matter in the slightest. A spokesperson for Meghan clarified that she was always confirmed only to attend the retreat for her Q&A portion. But again, this marketing material, which you would think her team would have vetted, made it seem that the speaking engagement and the Q&A were separate, because it said that the VIP experience was what got you that Q&A. As far as the content of what they talked about, I'm not even fully sure how it was relevant to these ladies. The whole theme of the weekend, as much as I think it's a scam and just pointless, it was to be focused on like personal wellness and development. There was like sound healing and meditation and manifestation, things of that nature. So how would Meghan Markle talking about her personal sacrifice and enduring attacks, what she has to say about critics, have anything to do with the themes of this Besties retreat? It really doesn't. Meghan didn't impart any of her knowledge or her feelings or her thoughts or her opinions or her ethos on how she approaches her own personal like wellness journey, or her manifestation or meditation, things that she likes or found helpful. Because really, if you think about it, if you were the type of person to be interested in the themes of the Besties retreat and the Her Best Life podcast, you would be looking at Meghan Markle wanting to get some insight into what Meghan's meditation or manifestation techniques have been, what she does to, center herself, or how she frames things from a more like sort of spiritual sort of vibe, because that's kind of where this was marketed as leaning. What types of daily practices, whether it be like yoga or something else, does she find helpful in moving herself forward when it comes to those things? You know what I mean? Instead, she just did a very generic, what she always tells everybody thing, which is stuff about her own self and her own life, which is why I say Harry and Meghan talk about some of this new agey stuff, but they don't actually practice it or believe it in real life. I think they're just preying on people that they think will believe them. But more specifically, Meghan made a pointed remark about her own needs, asking, "I've spent all my life investing in women. Can I finally invest in me?" I don't think there's been any shortage of Meghan Markle investing in herself, let's be honest. But has she spent all her life investing in women in general? I really don't think so. In fact, I think that prior to 2016, it only looked like she was really invested in trying to make her career happen and, quite frankly, men, because she went through multiple different relationships and whatnot where she was, living with them, things like that. And there were reports of those people each in turn helping advance her career along the way. And then she convinced her publicist at the time, remember, her publicist spoke out and exposed this, her ex-publicist, that Meghan wanted to develop a more humanitarian image for herself, which, when we connect the dots, was so that she could lure in Harry and appear to be a good fit as a potential wife for him. So all of her investing in women, if we were to take like One Young World Summit and women's activism or general humanitarianism, was all self-serving at the end of the day, if we are to believe the allegations that have been set forth previously. But she also spoke candidly about the scrutiny she's faced for over a decade. Why is she saying over a decade lately? Again, I'm not sure how that would really help or be beneficial to this audience, and it's not unique to anything she's ever said before. She characterized public criticism as a projection from others rather than a reflection of her true self, which I call horse hockey on. That's totally false. The vast majority of the criticism that Meghan Markle gets has everything to do with the specific things she does and says in the public eye. It is not a projection. It is a critique and dislike for her behaviors and the morals and character that she's displaying through her actions. I'm sure that's what she tells herself, but really for her to be able to categorize all of that as projections from other people, then she would have to have intimate knowledge to what those people have actually previously experienced and their private mental and emotional wounds that then they are projecting out onto others. So there's no possible way for her to actually, assert such a thing. But the attendance feedback has been sharply divided between some who are positive about it and felt that it was still an intimate atmosphere, with others feeling that the event was advertised as a weekend retreat with Meghan, leading to shock when she departed after just 2 hours from arriving. And despite the high costs, some guests described the experience as underwhelming, with generic sessions and a lack of true interaction. Unfortunately, the reality of the situation is that there is always going to be a market, however small it may be, of these types of speaking gigs for Harry and for Meghan. Because there will always be people who don't take the time to do the research and are willing to give these types of things a chance. And inevitably, at least 50% of them will end up feeling like they have buyer's remorse and that it wasn't really worth it, and they're dissatisfied with the product that they paid for. One thing's for sure, though, this definitely isn't going to boost her public image at all. It's definitely not going to enhance or expand her audience or her fan base in any way, shape, or form in any tangible manner. The only way she would have really been able to achieve that would have been to spend more quality time or have an open Q&A that was not scripted. This is something that I'm touching on in a video coming up about Meghan Markle's toxic pattern of one-way communication styles, and how this sort of an event where it's all scripted, even if it's under the guise of a Q&A, isn't a true Q&A because all the questions are pre-screened and approved. And this pattern of communication is something that dates way back and is a very long-standing pattern with Meghan that we're diving into in an upcoming video. So be sure you subscribe because it's very interesting. But in the absence of any true dialogue and give and take from Meghan with any portion of the public, she will forever be undermining her potential when it comes to connecting and developing a more positive public image and getting her popularity to stop constantly dropping. But I hope you enjoyed today's video. Leave your comments below. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a happy day ahead. I'll see you next time. Bye!